Welcome to Tea Time. I'm Laura Walsh, and we have two extremely opinionated and smart and lovely people here tonight to talk about what's going on in the Black community in New York, New Jersey, and in America. I'd like to first introduce you to Barbara from Harlem.
Hello.
Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in, and the Reverend Craft.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to see both of you.
God bless you.
Oh, dear, we drove in the car up to the station together, so we've had such a lively conversation.
Yes.
I wish I could have taped it, but we're going to continue it here in the studio. What we'd like to talk about today is a very serious topic, and it's one that, you know, I think is really disturbing to a lot of us in America, and that is what's going on in the community with the Eric Garner case, right? And the subsequent, you know, demonstrations, and then the New York Police Department basically going on strike. I mean, they have a work stoppage,
yes,
right?
Yes, yes.
But I want to talk to you about this because, you know, we all feel the pain, but we're all, you know, we may see it in different perspectives, right?
Yes.
So I'd love to get your perspectives on that and the whole, you know, protest movements and Black Matters and all of that. So if you'd like to start, Barbara, what do you think is going on here?
Well, I'm very saddened with what's going on. Mm-hmm. I was very shocked and saddened when the rioting started in Ferguson, Missouri,
right,
with the death of Michael Brown, you know, and our condolences are there for the family and all of that. However, even in light of that and in spite of that, for people to be misled to such a degree that they would resort to looting and burning and destroying their own community, that was totally uncalled for. And there was a lot of anger because there was no indictment.
Right.
And it's just sad that there are media outlets that do not report the truth, all of the truth, to the people. Because maybe if some of the truth was dispersed through more of the media outlets, we wouldn't have something like this. Because it's quite evident that Michael Brown did not have his hands up. The coroner has proven that. And the police officer was attacked.
Right. Right.
And these are things that don't look very favorable
Right.
toward, you know, it was causing people to riot.
Right, right. I agree. We've been told that it's because of anger pent up in the
Yes.
community, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
it's up to your perspective, Reverend. What do you think about?
Well, first of all, there's a saying among Marxists that says we have to use useful idiots.
Okay.
There's always an issue behind the issue.
Okay.
Saul Alinsky said the issue is never the issue.
Right.
The rioting,
Yes.
the looting,
Yes.
the burning,
Yes.
the bogus signs, hands up, don't shoot, I can't breathe,
Right.
Black Lives Matter, all of that is pure D nonsense.
Right.
This whole phenomenon is nothing less than a major power play to take down the United States of America by using the proletariat, the useful idiots, as the pawns
Yes, that's
to
true.
do it. This thing's been going on since the 60s,
Right.
just in different stages. It ebbs and flows. Every time there is a major crisis that Black people are involved in, going all the way back to slavery. See, the enemies of America, the enemies of liberty, the enemies of
Yes,
freedom,
yes.
the enemies of free enterprise, and the enemies of the United States of America have always known that America's Achilles heel is race. Racism, slavery, Jim Crow, and all of these other phenomena.
Yes.
Now, my question's always been, as a Black American, if America is so bad and so racist and so wicked, why don't we see everybody jumping out of Dodge and jumping ship and going to Red China, or going to Russia, or going to North Korea, or going to China? We don't see that.
No.
We see every Tom, Dick, and Harry trying to get in America, hook or crook. Yet when they get here, they want to tear America down. Something's wrong with that picture.
Right.
1 and 1 is not coming up 2. So when I look at things as a Black American, I'm 71 years old. I've been Black for 71 years and won't turn white anytime soon. I know that there's a whole lot more behind this nonsense
Yes.
than the fact that Michael Brown got shot or Eric Gardner got choked. I can't breathe. Well, number one, if you can't breathe, you can't say
You
it.
can't talk.
You can't talk.
That's right.
So common sense tells us right there, there's some
Yep.
nonsense. Michael Brown gets shot. His blood is in Darren Wilson's police car.
Absolutely.
Now, how in God's name did his blood get in the police car? And that's on the record from the grand jury if Darren Wilson shot Michael Brown outside the car.
Right. Right.
Makes no sense.
It makes no sense. But people don't think.
No.
They really don't think because like Barbara was saying, there is a false narrative
Yeah.
that the mainstream media will pump.
Yes.
And they'll use the useful idiots, the proletariat, which in this case are black Americans who have been oppressed, so-called. Yet I say to myself, well, wait a minute, if black Americans are oppressed, how in the world is one of the richest women on planet Earth, Oprah Winfrey? She's oppressed? Give me a break.
True.
How are black billionaires, black
Oppressed,
millionaires,
right.
black multimillionaires, black neurosurgeons, Ben Carson, black doctors, how are they oppressed? The only blacks that are oppressed are those in the hood, the underclass, the Crips, the Bloods, and they're oppressed basically because of their wrong thinking.
Okay.
See? The Bible teaches us that as a man thinketh, so is he. If I believe that I'm oppressed, Lord, guess what? I got it.
Right.
But if I believe I'm free, guess what? I'm free.
Right.
So what we have
True.
to do is get beyond all the rhetoric and get to the real issues.
So this is great. So you think that, if I'm understanding correctly, that that what's been going on nationally is just a narrative? It's just that
It's a
it doesn't
Yeah.
reflect the truth,
Thank you. Yes.
right? And from your perspective,
Yes.
Right.
Now, do you think, is this the theme? Now, you're obviously we're all individuals, and you're speaking for yourselves. Do you
Yeah.
think your views are similar to others that you know, or do you think that they're unique, or do you think people have bought into the false quote unquote narrative that you talk about?
Well, those out there rioting are bought into the narrative.
Yeah, right.
And then plus you have the instigators,
Right.
people who are trying to incite them. And it's not hard to incite
Right.
people who are already angry, and
Right.
they're not angry because they've been mistreated because of racism in America. Many of them have been mistreated by their own parents.
Right,
Okay.
The homes are broken, the homes are shattered.
right,
They don't have anyone guiding them and directing them. So they're easy prey
right.
for these instigators to tell them that, oh yeah, something's wrong, riot, tear up your own community. Show the world that you're tired of the racism. It's not the racism, it's the
Racism.
home.
Yeah, exactly.
So what about the disparity in income and all of that? I mean, if that's true, then how do we reconcile that? You know, the net worth of a black family today in America is $11,000, and it's $192,000 for white families.
Okay, well, again, that's a generality.
Right.
Yes.
It's an
That's a
average.
generality.
Right. I
Yes.
guess.
That's a generality.
Okay.
Ben Carson is a neurosurgeon.
Right.
His net worth showed not 11,000.
Right.
Ben Carson's a multimillionaire.
Right.
Oprah Winfrey, her net worth is showing not 11,000.
Right.
Jay-Z, Beyonce,
Right.
their net worth
Absolutely.
is showing that 11,000. My net worth, and I'm a senior citizen on a fixed income of Social Security. My net worth was only 16,000, but I'm not burning down Monroe Township. It's a pimps and nonsense.
Right.
The truth of the matter is if we took every black nation except the United States,
Yeah.
especially the black nations of Africa, and combined all of their total net worth, it would not be as great as the net worth of black Americans.
Okay.
Black Americans, for the most part, have great net worth. The problem is they use it wrongly. You take Orientals, Asians, these people, foreigners, Mexicans, legal or illegal, whatever. They come to America, why? Because they see opportunity.
Opportunity,
that
right.
they don't have in their own country. They
Right.
will start their little mom and pop stores, their
Yes.
little bodegas. They will start their little their little Koreas or their little Chinatowns, and before you know it, within one generation, they own the thing. Black people, we've been here from day one, brought over in chains. When you go to, for example, Barbara's area in Harlem, Years ago in the 80s, you'd see these boarded up buildings, these boarded up brownstones. What was stopping blacks that had money from buying those brownstones, and they'd be rich now? They didn't do it. Then, when these foreigners came in here and bought them up, and now you can't touch those brownstones, they're worth millions. Right. What do the blacks say? They're there. These foreigners are coming in here and taking our jobs and taking over our neighborhoods and blah, blah, blah. Whoa, man, what did you do when you was right there?
Okay.
So the whole thing is bogus, Laura.
Okay. Yes.
It's bogus, man. It's just not real.
And then I see it as a problem with we're not investing in ourselves. You know, when foreigners come over here, and I've met a lot of them from all over the world, they emphasize education.
Right.
We have a high dropout rate. I believe it was in Newark, New Jersey, they had more young men going into prison than finishing high school.
That's right.
Yeah, it's horrific. But the schools in Newark are supervised for the state for 20 years, and the kids don't have desks. They're sitting on the floor. They have moldy lunches. I mean, how is anybody supposed to succeed in that?
A lot of money is being thrown away.
I know.
A lot of the teachers they can't get rid of. A lot of teachers are not interested in teaching. A lot of it is about indoctrination. I just graduated from college in 2006, and I went to college, of course, up there in the Bronx with people much younger. And I saw people who graduated high school that couldn't even add 58 and 58.
Yeah.
And they were in college.
Yeah.
In college. Right. Because I went to one of the workshops just to see what they were doing, a math workshop. And the professor had to argue with this young lady when he told her 8 and 8 is 16, put down the 6, carry the 1. She said, carry it where?
Oh, no.
Carry it where?
Oh.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe what I heard, but I heard this with my ears.
Right, you were there.
It was so embarrassing to even graduate from that college that I almost didn't even attend the graduation because I said, these young people are not prepared to do anything.
Right, so to that point, so I want to have like a balanced discussion. So
yes.
People who look at that, many people will say, well, it must be something wrong with the system then. How could so many people fail?
Yes.
Right, over an extended period of time in one community. How is that?
Let me address that. Again, that's Marx's indoctrination. What is the system? The system is some kind of spooky, that you can't get a grip on. The system is nothing but people that comprise a system for good or evil. If the system is wicked, the system is wicked because the people who set up the system and work the system are the problem. So the problem is always the people. It's, for example, when you hear people say, oh, certain neighborhoods I wouldn't go to because they're dangerous. A neighborhood is nothing but real estate. Built concrete, bricks and mortar. You can take the worst neighborhood on planet Earth. If you take the people out of it, it's a ghost town. You can walk through there, nobody gonna shoot you, because ain't nobody there.
Right.
But you can take the best neighborhood on planet Earth. You can take Wilshire Boulevard, Beverly Hills, Marina Del Rey, and put some fools in there. And guess what? It'll be a mess overnight. So it's never about, man, these ambiguous systems or these ambiguous terms like the people. What people? When they say black people are suffering, what black people are you talking about? Are you talking about a Ben Carson who grew up in the hood of Detroit and didn't have a father and his mother couldn't even read, but yet she made him read books?
That's
and Ben Carson had such a anger problem that he could have ended up in the penitentiary because he almost stabbed the boy to death, but yet Ben Carson was a brain surgeon? But you don't hear about Ben Carson. Or how about Herman Cain, who took a fledgling pizza thing and turned that into a multi-million? Or how about Clarence Thomas? But you don't hear, or Condoleezza Rice. You don't hear anything about them. But you'll hear about the Crips and the Bloods, and you'll hear about all these fools and the Eric Gardners, and you'll hear about the Michael Browns and the Trayvon Martins, and you'll hear about the Al Sharptons and the Louis Farrakhan. I'm tired of that mess.
I know. And
It's
you know,
embarrassing.
and you know, when you mention the Marxist attitude and the Marxism, I think a lot of us have been brainwashed. We don't even understand the concept.
Right.
We don't even understand that that's control over your life.
Right.
Right.
And you know, when you have people saying it takes a village to raise a child, that irritated me from the time I heard it.
Right.
It takes a mother and father to raise a child. Now, people in the community can look out,
Yeah.
but the main socialization agents of that child, mother and father.
Thank you.
Well, that's what they're
Not
trying to destroy.
the government.
Right.
A village.
And you see, when you're telling people that they're entitled to, that they don't have to take responsibility for, you see what we have.
We got a mess.
That's why we have a mess.
That's right.
Okay. So do you think the police officers treated Eric Garner differently than they would have anybody else? Do you see anything
first
there?
Of all,
Just asking that.
Okay, look at that. What happened there?
I watched the
And
video.
the
It was horrible.
If
Horrible.
you looked at the video, you saw that the supervising officer was a black woman.
Black woman.
Now, why you don't hear that on the?
I
You
know.
don't.
I know.
The
The mass
supervising,
media is so crooked.
the supervising officer on that takedown was a black sergeant, female sergeant.
Can I just add this?
Add that.
This man, Eric Garner, and no disrespect, has been arrested 31 times.
31 times.
I know.
For something.
If by 31 times, if you don't know the drill
The drill.
is the minute you say, I'm not going, that police officer is going to stand back and call for reinforcement. You're going to be arrested. You're not going to win.
Right.
31 times,
Right.
he did not die from choking.
Right.
He had other medical issues.
Right.
So for people to say, I can't breathe, and just like you mentioned, and I talked to my police officer friend who works in New York, if you can't breathe,
You can't say.
you can't talk.
You can't talk.
So all of that's untrue.
It's untrue.
But 31 times.
Right.
And he said he was not going down. Now, from what my friend who works on the police force says, they got orders from the brass
Right.
that he had to be arrested because they got complaints from the community
With those
as
cigarettes.
well as the shops in the area.
He was selling Lucy's, they're called, loose
Absolutely.
cigarettes.
So what
right.
the police supposed to do? Give him their card and say, well, call me when you're ready to be arrested?
No,
I
I
mean,
know.
come on.
It wasn't going to go well. No, absolutely, it wasn't going to go
31
well.
times. You know the drill.
I agree with you. I think watching that though, I mean, you can understand resisting
Yes,
arrest is not
yes,
right. You did something you
yes.
shouldn't do. You're only asking for trouble. It's
Yes.
not going to end well. But when he was lying there,
Yes.
nobody gave him CPR. And I even watched the EMS came, and they were all like so casual. Nobody, it was just.
But see, the thing is, number one, even if they had a gift, that don't mean he would have lived.
No, I know.
The guy had all kind of medical problems. Number
did.
one. Number two,
Right,
the
I understand.
CPR is after the fact because, like Barbara just said, he's been busted enough times and no, you don't
31
resist
times.
the rest. When they told him hit the
Right,
ground,
right.
we're cuffing you, and he said I'm not going. Right there,
That was it.
he is at least 50% responsible for his own death.
At least.
Because if he'd have simply laid down and let the police cuff him, that'd have been the end of it. He wouldn't need a CPR because he wouldn't have had a heart attack or whatever happened. They'd have put him in the car, took him to jail for the loot. He'd have got out because it was just a misdemeanor.
Absolutely.
But the fact that he go rise up, and this guy was big, and
6'4".
talking about I ain't going. So like Barbara said, when they go to, well, let us know when you're ready to go. Look, no,
Right.
they
I mean,
had
come
to
on.
Right. No,
restrain
I
him.
understand. I understand.
So the
They had
CPR
to.
is beside the point.
Right,
He is 50% at least responsible for dying. Michael Brown in Ferguson, same thing. If he hadn't went in that store, him and that other guy, stole them cigars, and then go hi-fi and walk down the middle of the street talking stuff, and it just so happened Wilson was in the area and saw him, and had gotten the call from the dispatcher, and Brown fit the description, and then Wilson ran up on him. All he had to do was submit to the arrest, and that'd have been the end of that. But no, he gonna go off. You don't do that with police officers.
But you know what I can't understand? Why would he walk away? You know, because he happened to tussle with the police officer, then turn around,
And
say
come
that the
back.
police officer would not shoot him, and then charge toward the police officer.
Right.
That, to me, says maybe he didn't want to live.
Could be.
Because who in the world is going to charge anyone
A cop.
besides a police officer
Right.
with a loaded gun?
Exactly.
Why? No one in their right mind would do that.
Yeah, I think that's a murkier case
I know.
because I don't know what's true in that. You know what I'm saying with all the evidence?
The
I
evidence
just don't
that came
know.
back from the grand jury found Michael
Right.
Brown's blood inside the police car.
Right.
Now, there's no way Michael
Right.
Brown's blood could have got in the police car
Unless he
unless he
was
was
there.
in the police car.
He was in there, and he attacked the police
Right.
officer.
Yeah.
So the cop had to kill him.
Right. So do you think what's going on in New York with, first of all, the police department is majority is minority, if
Yeah.
you will, right?
Well, it's some, I can't say.
So how, I guess for me it was like I didn't see it as racial because, as you said, there was a black officer there as a supervisor.
Yes, the supervisor.
I think that's how police officers behave. I think that's what they do.
Right.
Right? They follow those procedures.
Yes. Yes,
Regardless of-
they couldn't do any more than the supervisor allowed them to do. Otherwise, they would lose their job.
Right.
It's very regulated. I used to be married to a police officer, you know, many years ago. And at that time, the police office, the police department was different. So for people not to acknowledge the fact that we've come a long way in race relations
Right.
since
right.
the 60s, that is really unfair. When my husband started, my ex-husband started, even there was racial tension at the precinct
Right.
because it was a new thing for black officers to be hired.
Right. And he's one of the first ones coming
And
in,
he was,
probably.
you know, one of the early ones. And then they were fighting the Black Panthers and all of these things going on. But we have come so far
Right.
in race relations with the police, with all throughout America. But those that want to keep people rioting, destroying, and attacking our police, our military, and all of that, don't want to look at the progress.
Yeah, because they can't
That's
make money
not
off
part
of
of
that.
their game
So
plan.
what is the
plan.
solution,
Yes.
right? Because we can't allow them to run this, right? I mean, the media, whoever is doing this, right,
Yes.
ginning up a race. There's a feeling among many people that
yes.
they're ginning up a race war.
Oh,
in
yes,
the
they
Department
are.
of Justice,
Oh, yeah.
They are.
and they're
Oh,
inflaming,
definitely.
right?
That's right. Yes. They're
I
believe that
arsonists,
too.
racial arsonists.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
that sense.
Yes.
It's dangerous.
It is. It's
what
very
you're
dangerous.
doing, Laura, with these programs,
Yes.
we have to continually talk to people.
Yes, we do.
Some are going to listen, some are not.
Right.
Right.
There really is no easy answer. This, at its
You're
root,
right.
is a spiritual problem.
Okay. So I was going to ask you if you had to identify. You think it's a
at its
spiritual
root,
issue?
it's a spiritual problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to have to constantly keep talking to people, doing things with people like yourself,
Absolutely.
who has access to alternative media. It's not going to be a cakewalk through Central Park.
Right.
It's
No.
very difficult because, like Barbara was saying, you have a class of people. See, Booker T. Washington, who was a slave,
Yeah.
way back in 1915, he said something very profound that's prophetic right today. He says there's a class of colored people
Yeah.
that make their living off of keeping the grievances
Yes.
and the resentments of black people, what are you colored at that time,
Yeah.
in front of the public eye. He says for two reasons. Number one, it gets sympathy, and number two, it gets votes, and number three, it keeps them in power. He says, and they won't stop it because they would lose their jobs. Al Sharpton is rich because he keeps the mess going. Jesse Jackson, Obama, Holder, the whole 9 yards. They are doing things that are causing people to lose their lives now.
Yes, they are.
And this stuff's
And
dangerous.
they don't care.
Yeah.
And they don't care. They're all living high on the hop.
Right.
They
Absolutely.
couldn't care less. But it's dangerous. And I think what we have to do, people who understand what's going on, we have to be put in the forefront to actually begin to do workshops, seminars, get
Absolutely.
on TV, get on radio. I'm a former announcer. I would love to have a live talk show every day, call in, where these knuckleheads could get online and a syndicated show and call me and tell me this nonsense about Black Lives Matter. Because the first thing I'd ask them, Black lives really matter, huh?
Yeah.
Then why is it that we killing each other every day, all day, everywhere?
90% of homicides, black on
Black
black.
Lives Matter? Really? Do
Look
you
at the
really?
abortion.
Abortion. How about that one? You really
Absolutely.
believe Black Lives Matter?
And we were talking about this, and the abortion clinics
Yeah.
are not, they're in black neighborhoods, right?
All the time. Every black
Every
neighborhood
one
you
of them.
go to.
Every one of them. You know,
You know-
so don't tell all the drugs,
Yes.
open air drug markets. You know, so don't tell me this nonsense about Black Lives Matter.
Right.
No, that's game. That is nothing but a game. Getting T-shirts, black T-shirts with white letters.
crazy.
Black Lives Matter. Man, shut up and sit down.
Yeah. Do they matter when they do a drive-by shooting and a
Thank
child
you.
in the park gets killed?
Thank you.
Do they matter when I have to walk in the hallway and see a drug deal? And there are children that live in the same building that I live in, and they do it right there in the hallway. So do black lives matter to them?
No, no.
And every time I walk around Harlem or even in Newark, I see another memorial. Someone just got shot there last night. Two just got shot down on Springfield Avenue.
Black
3
lives
o'clock in the
matter.
afternoon.
Oh my goodness.
So black lives should matter to black people also.
So what do you think the solutions are, as we're trying to wrap up in a couple of minutes too? What are solutions? Like, what do
Our
we do?
solutions are doing just what you're doing, and we
Exactly.
really appreciate this.
Exactly.
Because more of this has to be done.
Exactly, a
Just
whole
as
lot
Reverend
more.
Craft has said, we need to do it more intensely. We need to put out some sort of newsletters, because all of the papers that I pick up in Harlem and other urban areas that are free are full with propaganda.
Lies.
Yeah, just reinforcing.
Brainwashing people.
Right. That they're
Not talking
helpless.
about rebuilding the family.
Right.
Because if the families get rebuilt, then we wouldn't have so many children out there looting and killing another child and having babies before finishing high school at least.
Yeah, it's you know, and I think yeah, these forms are important. But are there any steps like the viewers could take? Should they volunteer? What should they do to help?
Tell them to get in contact with you, or get in contact with Barbara or myself.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's going to be an uphill battle, but we have to step it up to the next level.
Absolutely.
And there's no better time. This is the first of a new year. There's no better time to
Right.
get Barbara from Harlem and Reverend Craft out there. Give us a platform. Let us do the heavy lifting, and we'll do what we can do.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, thank you for joining us. It's
Thank
been a
you.
great program. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you
Wonderful
so much for
guests.
having
me.
Look
Thank
to
you.
have
Yes.
you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us. And we'll be back next time.
Yes. God bless America.